Hello goblins, it's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. Phew, what a week it's been. I feel like I've been going non-stop. Actually just come back from having a meal with the family. We've been to, it's a place called the Hickory Smokehouse. This one's in Solihull. There's one in Coventry as well, we haven't been to that one, but the one in Solihull's really nice. And it's an American themed bar, which should amuse you. I like going there because it's the only place you can get a root beer, which is really nice. And frozen custard, apparently, which is actually, the experience is kind of like a custard sorbet in texture. So ice cream-ish, but also different. Anyway, I've got a recommendation for you, a Netflix recommendation. This week, we have binge-watched Department Q. This is a kind of, it's billed as a kind of like a cold case detective program, but it's adapted from some scanned noir books, but in this program they've relocated it from, Sweden or Denmark or wherever it might be, Finland. They've relocated it to Glasgow, Scotland, and it's really great. It's really great. In the first episode, by about halfway through, we nearly turned it off. The main guy, the protagonist, Detective Mork, he's really an asshole. And in the first half of the programme, in episode 1, there's really not much to like about him. And I love an anti-hero, but you've got to give me something. And this guy is really objectionable. And they'd just given us nothing. And it was like, we were kind of just about ready to turn it off, thinking, what a shame, this is a bit of a waste. When they started to turn it around and he started to care for his partner, that's all you need. You just need them to care for something. And he does, it turns out he cares for his partner, his friend. So we carried on. And the storytelling kind of wrench of perception that they did at the end of the first episode was just awesome. It was just a real beautiful little storytelling finesse. And that got us hooked. It was like, okay, that's amazing. And then we've just churned through the rest of them. And it's brilliant. I'm not going to say anything because it is a mystery. But the characters that he puts together are just really great. Just watch out for Akram. He's just superb. My only caveat for the whole thing is the language. They just F and blind all of them. Every character F and blinds all of the time. And it's like, that wouldn't be my choice, But it is what it is, so you just kind of move past it. That's my only one thing. So if you don't like extensive bad language, you might want to give it a miss. I found it a little off-putting, but a bit here and there, I pay no mind, but it's heavy and constant. just F this, F that, F you, F me, what the F. It's just, like I say, if you can't stand that kind of thing, then give it a miss. I wouldn't blame you. But other than that, the actual story and the characters, superb. Right, now some pipes. And then I'm going to do a little bit. I have promised that I will do a little intro on pipe making for beginners because someone's interested. So I will do a little overview of what you need to think about when getting into pipe making. But first, some pipes. It is, of course, an acorn done in bespoke black and green contrast sandblast. The blast here really bringing out the ring grain and the contrast really bringing out the straight grain. So that's pretty cool. You can see the grain flowing along the shank. Most of you will be familiar. It's the full saddle stem in the Moss Cumberland, which is so vibrant on the screen. What's ironic is that I've got a really yellow green, a really sort of like lime yellow green that I've been trying to show Micah on my phone, and it looks like this does on camera in real life, but on screen it looks like this does in real life, which is more subtle, more muted. Bizarre. Anyway, that was available for about 2 minutes earlier today. And then was sold. The next two are part of a commission, a two-pipe commission. This one is from my Cultist range. This is the Louisiana Cultist. The overall shape is the tulip that I make, which is roughly based off a cutty. But call it a flamboyant cutty, if you will. Although, of course, there's no foot. Cutties usually have a little foot off the bottom, emulating the clay pipe. A little contrasting green and the brown. Very earthy tones for the Louisiana Cultist. Part rusticated stem. You can see. Line you up. Also Moss Cumberland stem, but this time from a different part of the rod, further up the rod. That moss green was like from the bottom of the rod, and this one is from more or less the top. So as you can see, contrast and compare, that one was heavy on the colour, this guy's heavy on the black. I've been so busy today, I haven't even told the customer that these are finished yet. I've got to do that in a little bit. Otherwise I won't get paid. So, Louisiana cultists. Actually, I'm making another one of those very soon. Sometimes they come along in 2s and 3s. And this one is a pipe I haven't made for quite some time. This one is a shroom variant. There are several shroom variants. This one is like this bridged style, of which there are 2 or 3, maybe just 2, in fact. This one came out different than the others, as is the way they do. Wow. Pretty detailed sandblast finish, which works nicely on the shrooms. Plateau bridge into plateau rim. You need a pretty orderly and nicely shaped piece of briar to do this with. You can't do it with a lot of... You need the right piece. And then, continuing the theme this week, Moss Cumberland stem. He takes a fair bit of carving. He does. You can imagine. It's a nice effect. There we go. Shroom. A stylish shroom. Not the most, kind of a rare shroom. Don't know if I mentioned it. I was making some Tilbury. Tilbury jar. You're going to need filling from one of my bags very soon. Right. So you're thinking about starting to make pipes. Well, maybe you're not, but 1 or 2 of you might be. Maybe just 1 of you. What do you need to sort out before you can accomplish anything? Like a lot of crafts, it's really not so much about the tools that you've got or need to get, rather than it is about the problems that you need to solve, because all of the problems can be solved by various routes. There's probably not a single pipe maker who does everything the same way that someone else does. And some pipe makers do achieve the same things by very different means than most other people. So I can give you an idea of what you might need, but it'll be by no means the only way of achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. So, first of all, primarily, you're going to need a piece of wood. Now, you can go crazy if you like. You can go into olive wood, apple wood, pear wood, try any of the fruit woods. You can, get jiggy with it, but there is a reason that 99.9% of pipe makers use briar, and that's because it's the most appropriate material. Some people think if they've got a tree that's fallen down in their backyard, they can use it to make pipes. That's a really bad idea, unless you know your wood. Buy briar from someone who sells briar. Right, let me put that down. Don't just get any old bit of wood and make a pipe with it. Get wood that you know is good for making pipes. Use briar. There's cheap briar. You don't have to buy expensive briar to start with. You can buy cheap briar on eBay. You can. It doesn't look very good. It's small, but, you know, you'll just be experimenting. Then you're going to need to find a way to drill the briar. Obviously that means drill bits, but then you've got to think, what are you going to do? Are you going to use a drill press, clamp the briar while you power a drill through it, or are you going to, like lathe style, hold the drill bit in a chuck and spin the briar? Most pipe makers use a lathe. Some use a drill press. The drill press route is quite expensive to get a drill press that is sturdy enough for the job. You need a really good drill press. And those don't come cheap. You really can't drill briar by hand. You can't really. You don't have to take my word for it. You can give it a go, but I don't recommend it. You're going to need some drill bits. You're also going to need a way. If you're going to go with the lathe, like I do, you're going to need a way to hold your briar in the headstock. So some kind of two-jaw chuck really is the way to go. You might be lucky. The lathe that you might have might come with a two-jaw chuck. If it does, you're laughing. If not, a lot of lathes only come with 3- and 4-jaw chucks. The 3-jaw tend to be self-centering. The 4 jaws are independent. You move them independently, and that is a recipe for a headache every day. Only do that if you've got the time and the patience. Other than that, this is a self-centering pair of 2-jaw chucks. Something like that. You're going to need something to drill the tobacco chamber. You've got a couple of options. These are spoon bits. This is in the Danish profile, which is mostly straight, but then tapers somewhat abruptly. This is good for bent pipes because of the sort of the more acute angle that you usually come in on, and so you want the entry point a little bit lower, and so it coming in at a more of a tapered way is good. It means the drill bit comes in lower from a higher angle. I use these a lot. These are tapered drill bits. This literally tapers from top to bottom. I use these in drilling doublins. I use them for my acorns and strawberries. And then this is more of an English profile, more a bull nose, just rounded. And this is a dormer drill bit. But you have to buy these unless you have a way of shaping them. But I don't. So buy them again from from a guy who supplies pipe makers. These are all on the more expensive side. There is a cheaper way to go. You can buy spade bits. These are just flat spade bits, and you can grind, if you have a grinder, you can grind a round profile, or any profile that you like, onto them. They're cheap, they're kind of horrible to drill with, but they get you there. They will get you there without spending a lot of money. It's an option. You're going to need a way to shape the pipe, and most often that comes in the form of sanding discs. I haven't got one to hand here, but it's really just like a dual action sanding disc. It's like a padded disc that you can buy discs of sandpaper for, and it's kind of self-explanatory. You just use that to shape the disc. If you're indoors, you're going to want some dust extraction. Otherwise, do it in a large open space with lots of air circulating. You don't want to be breathing briar dust for any length of time. What else? Once you've shaped your pipe, you're going to need a way to colour it. These are really popular. Phoebing's leather dyes. This one's orange. But they come in many shades of all the way from light brown to dark brown. Any shade of brown you like, and some other shades as well. But they're leather dyes. People like them because the pigmentation in the dye is high, they're concentrated, so they work really well. Then you're going to need a way to finish the pipe. I realise I'm not talking about stems here. For the stem, you've got your options of ebonite is the industry standard. You can use acrylic. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. You can also get some stuff from me. This is a resin-based material. Much nicer than acrylic, and is great. For finishing a smooth pipe and finishing your stems, you tend to need some buffing compounds, some buffing wheels. You get a couple of different grades. You'll need like 2 wheels. This is, what do they call this now? I forget because, so there's a red version of this. So these are more, I'm not giving you specifics. I'm just giving you rough. So like this is a coarse one. I get these from Manzurna. This is a coarse one. There's also a more fine one. Yeah, and a couple of buffing wheels. And then for a final finish, carnauba wax on a smooth. Finishing rusticated and sandblast pipes is slightly different. There is a way of using carnauba wax to do it, but sometimes people will use things like shellac. I don't use shellac, but some people do. You can use Danish oil for those ones. You have to wait for those to cure after you put them on. And there you go. That's kind of a brief run through everything you're going to need to do. So you just have to think about those processes and think, okay, what can I do? Because we all live in different countries, so we tend to have access to different products. So you probably won't be able to buy what I can buy. You just have to buy a rough equivalent wherever you are. If you're in the States, you're really lucky because there's so many pipe makers in the States that there's there's really big pipe suppliers that you can usually buy everything from that you want. And that's really useful and convenient. All right. That's it from me. Am I going to be back next week? I don't know. I'm toying with the idea of taking a week off to do some music because I've got to finish some songs. Well, I want to finish some songs. But I might make a pipe as well. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. All right. That's it. I'm done. Till next week, take it very easy. Your loyal pipe maker.